you very much indeed. It's wonderful to share a bill with a living legend. I would say that even if his son hadn't taught my son, and even if his grandson wasn't working with my son currently in Torbay Hospital, arguably one of the best hospitals in Britain. Yeah, absolutely. Sitting next to Heinz is another legend. She's called Sophie Andrews, and she is the CEO of the Silver Line Helpline. So any facts I get wrong, you must correct me. Also, Soph, darling, time is of the essence, and I know that you've got some bits of technology here, but would you mind doing the television thing? And when I've got about a minute to go, if you could give me a wind.
When are you due to finish?
I'm due to finish it at 3:30, aren't I?
Yeah, around 3:30.
So 3:29, give me a wind. At 3:30, if I ignore you, give me a... Very good. And Kate, you know Kate, he's in charge of all things technical, and if nothing works, it's his fault. Okay, so the Silver Line Helpline. Well, about 3 years ago in May, I downsized. I got rid of my family house, didn't demolish it, sold it, seemed easier, and moved into a 2-bedroom flat in what I describe as little old lady land, and was living alone for the first time at the age of 71, and didn't enjoy it. It's interesting, some people have defined loneliness as you may have plenty of people to do something with, but you have nobody to do nothing with. And that's what I was finding at the end of the day, that I would come home to a dark flat with no one inside it to ask me how my day was. That was extremely technically skilled, wasn't it? Does that work?
We'll see in about 30 seconds.
What's going to happen in 30 seconds?
So there's a delay in the stream. And anyway.
This is telecare, is it? Right, in 30 seconds, are you going to creep up again and do something else? We'll see. Okay. The temptation to put it back where it was is anyway, you may have plenty of people to do something with, but you have nobody to do nothing with. That's one definition of loneliness. The Silver Line's been running now nationally since last November, and I have come to the conclusion that another definition is not working, is it? You're giggling.
It's better than it was.
It's better, but not perfect.
It's almost perfect.
If I sat down there, would that be worse?
At the moment, yes, because you have to move it back down.
The temptation is almost overwhelming. I'm fighting it. Fighting it. You know what they do with parrots? They throw green baize material over the cage, and I have an almost insuperable desire to do the same. However, so if we say loneliness is about loss, this is what is becoming clear from some of the phone calls we've been getting since November. Now, it could be loss of many different things. It can be loss of a partner, very often, in my case. It can be loss because your family has grown up and moved away. It could be loss of sight or hearing, or a driving license, or mobility, which stops you being able to enjoy the independence you once had. Whatever loneliness is caused by, the impact is pretty painful and pretty damaging. I mean, the Department of Health has said that it's the equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, more damaging than obesity in terms of its physical impact. Why is that? Well, would you want to go for a walk by yourself? Or is it worth cooking nourishing foods when only you are going to eat it? And gradually, because of an erosion of confidence, that front door becomes an insuperable barrier. Your threshold becomes more and more difficult to cross. so lonely people are quite hard to reach. Because, well, I have letters that describe it very well. Because what I did was, I'm an agnostic. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. And my daughter is quite religious. So I was a little bit shocked to hear myself saying to her, you know, Em, I think God wants you to move in with me. And fortunately she laughed, and I did what I always do when I need therapy, which is ring the Daily Mail, and they said loneliness, excellent topic, write about it, so I did. And I brought along a couple of the letters I received. I received hundreds. Quite a number were telling me I was brave to be so honest, because there is actually a stigma about admitting loneliness. And I have a close friend who lives on his own, who, when he read my piece, said, "How could you write that, Esther? Haven't you got too much pride?" It's like admitting that you are the empty restaurant that no one wants to eat in, or that you're completely socially incompetent and nobody wants your company. So one letter I received from Sheerness in Kent said, when I first read your headlines, I first thought, how can she be lonely with her showbiz career and her money? How wrong I was, and how my heart goes out to you. Everything, every word, every feeling was as if you were describing me. Another one says, it's no good at all asking people like us to pull themselves together and get on with it. Do you think we wouldn't if we possibly could? It's just like being dragged out of a quicksand. And another one I got from Cornwall. Lovely letter, very articulate letter from a lady who's brought up a family. She says, I lost my husband at 54 years 3 years ago after a long battle with cancer. 5 years before that, my son died. Like you, I don't want to monopolise my daughter. She has her own family. She does come and see me at least twice a week, but in between it's so lonely. I can't get out on my own due to health problems. So it can be as much as 3 days I go without talking to anyone. I'm an optimist by nature, and sometimes I need that to get through another pointless day when I feel as if I am a waste of space. Nobody should be made to feel that they are a waste of space. And this one from Bob. I'm Bob, I'm 90. My wife died 3 months ago of Alzheimer's disease after 65 years of marriage, but more to the point, 72 years since we first kissed. And she waited throughout the war for me, and I for her. Loneliness, tell me about it. So the campaign to end loneliness also read my article, and they asked me to come and lecture at a conference, which I did. And I looked at the experts sitting in front of me, and I said to them, I'm getting a very odd flashback here, because 25 years ago, I was talking about a different kind of stigma. It was the stigma of abuse happening to a different cohort of people, happening to children. But then the answer seemed to be a helpline, Childline, which has now helped 3.2 million children. Perhaps the answer in this case too, when we're talking about the stigma of loneliness happening to older people, perhaps the answer could be another helpline. To which all the experts said, yes, do it. Well, that's all very well. In fact, I didn't create Childline. It was created by generations of talented, committed staff and volunteers. So I had to find at least one talented and committed member of staff who recruited a team around her, and we're currently training 1,000 volunteers. And we set to work learning from a lot of other helplines run by other befriending organisations, and we discovered actually that most of them are only open limited hours. So we decided the Silver Line was going to be open 24 hours a day, every night, and we decided to try and launch it in time for last Christmas. And with the helpline, we also conducted a survey which we press launched at the same time, which was run by Comres for us, who said 15% of older people admit they often feel lonely. Given the population of 17.3 million British people aged 55 plus, that equates to 2.5 million older people. 87% of them say that the best thing, the most helpful thing is a chat on the phone, but 1 in 4 say they never have one. 84% say that it's often difficult for older people to say they feel lonely because they don't want to be a burden. Now, we are here celebrating so many different kinds of technology which can do wonderful things to support people living independently, safely. But can it combat loneliness? In my view, no. Those wonderful machines at supermarkets can do great things to speed up queues at the checkout. But actually, it's the person sitting behind the till that can have the conversation. You do get into trouble, I've tried it, with the other people in the queue. So the first thing I want you all to resolve to do is, if you're in a supermarket checkout and there's a little old lady like me fumbling with her change and having a chat to the checkout person, be patient. It may be the only conversation she has that day. So we launched our helpline. We had our pilot evaluated by the Centre for Social Justice. You'll find the evaluation on the website. And the title of the evaluation is, "When I get off the phone, I feel like I belong to the human race." That's a direct quote from one of our callers. You may ask yourself why John, who said this, didn't feel he belonged or had the right to belong to the human race. Because he's older. Now, Kate, I've got a very nice little clip.
Yes.
And what it is, this is a couple of interviews with a couple of our callers called Barbara and Bill, after our pilot, just before we launched.
I don't like getting older, and I certainly don't like living alone. I can have 2 or 3 days in the middle of the week when I don't see anybody at all.
It is lonely at times. I just burst out into tears, you know.
When you get to my age, you're either invisible or you're patronised. They say, oh, you should go to tea dances or women's groups. I'm not a joiner, you see. It's confidence as much as anything. You do lose your confidence. So I was getting lonelier and lonelier, and Silverline came to my rescue. It was a friend's daughter who saw Esther on one of the news programmes talking about this, and she got all the bump for me, and I got in touch. Hello? So there's a lady called Julie who rings me every Tuesday night, and we have a good chat and a good laugh. If ever I do get lonely, I can always ring them, you know, whatever time of night it is.
Well, Silverline has been very helpful to me. Well, they've given me more confidence, you know. Yeah, built me up a bit. And it's nice to talk to somebody different, you know, and they can talk to you and know all your business. Well, they're quite good. They do have a regular day that they phone. They'll tell me before they leave. Now, don't forget, talk to you again on such a day. I've called them a few times, yeah, just to have a chat.
I never agreed that I was lonely. I used to say I was alone, but it's like this last 12 months, I would say, when I've really felt I needed somebody there. Because at 2 o'clock in the morning, when you can't sleep, you know, you can't ring a friend up. But with Silverline, you could do.
very important to have somebody to talk to. It's nice to know that they're caring about you.
It's a lifeline. You aren't alone any longer. There's somebody there who worries about you.
Well, there you are. Those of you that watch Gogglebox will know that that film reduced viewers to tears. But that wasn't the only thing it did. I just saw you on Sports Relief and wow. It left me speechless and crying at what beautiful service you offer to aid the elderly. I love it how you interact with everyone, not just certain individuals depending on a family. You can be their family over the phone line, and that's one of the things I find heartwarming. I'm going to donate to Sports Relief so the funds can go to employ a wonderful new employee. And if I wasn't 12 years old, I'd be volunteering every day. I hope you see this email and reply because I adore the services you offer. It just brings joy to my heart that there is such nice people out there. I see my neighbour every now and again and occasionally go round for a chat and a cup of tea so she isn't lonely. I love your services and I will definitely be volunteering when I'm old enough. Lots of respect and love, Luke. So that's to me how technology can not make loneliness disappear, but ease it. And I think the best thing technology can do is bring people closer. That's what we try and do on the Silver Line. That's what I think all technology should do. Thank you very much indeed for listening to me. And if anyone wants a leaflet, I've got plenty here. A moment out of your time if anyone's got any burning questions. Are you sure?
Okay, well, we will take a couple of questions if people want to put their hands up if they'd like to make a question. But I also say, Esther, that we have decided tonight at the dinner that we will be having a charity collection on the tables and we would like to make that in aid of Silver Line. So I hope that will be one of the ways we can thank you for coming and talking to us and giving us that really stimulating and thoughtful talk. And I think we've all been thinking during the day earlier as well about technology as something which connects people and trying to make sure that we're making the best use of the investments we're making in technology. So I think we are on the same wavelength and I think we've got a lot of work to do together across all of the players in our health and social care system, but also more widely because lots of people who are lonely are not users of health and social care services and don't want to access them through that route. And so we need to think about how we can make the support, the kind of support that you've been talking about, accessible to everyone.